Steroids, guys. Let's get right into that. So I've been considering making this video for quite some time, and a lot of questions popped up in my mind like, you know, steroids, it's quite a controversial topic and people just do not like controversy. Said no one ever. So that is why I'm gonna be making this video on steroids, whether or not I am taking them. But before we answer that question, guys, I just want to work backwards within the fitness industry. So in today's video, we're also going to cover my opinions on steroids within the fitness industry, who I think is taking them, who isn't. We're going to get into all of that. So before we begin all of that, we need to work backwards within the fitness industry, okay? So we need to find the real pinnacle truth of who is on steroids and then work backwards from that. So the pinnacle of steroid usage is Mr. Olympia. There is simply no disputing that the fellas up there, Phil Heath, Kai Greene, Dexter Jackson, Big Ramy. Have you seen that big boy? He's a monster. He is on steroids. He is on more gear than you could probably even name, right? He probably doesn't even know what he's taking. There's that many steroids going into his system. So that is the top tier. Now we can work backwards. We take a step down. We start looking at the fitness community as a whole, whatever that means, right? Now we start to branch off to people like Calum Von Moger, Bradley Martin, and all these guys who have a lot of conspiracy around whether or not they're on steroids. I'm not gonna state whether or not they are on steroids because I don't know. I haven't seen empirical evidence, right? I'm very factual. I need that kind of stuff to completely denote them steroid users. But if you could just use your kind of objective thinking, your critical thinking, and your common sense. Calum Von Moger, Bradley Martin, all them kind of people, their weight to height ratio to body fat percentage is just a bit too much to handle. So it would be fair to assume that they may or may not, in other words, they are taking steroids. They definitely don't deny it. They don't come out, besides Simeon Panda. For some reason he denies it. Now, if he isn't on steroids, you gotta clap to those genetics. You gotta give Mama Simeon Panda and Daddy Simeon Panda some props. But it is safe to say that the other people who aren't really coming out against steroid usage are on steroids. Now, whether or not they address the claims because they want to stir up the conspiracy, they want to avoid it altogether, or they just don't want to be known for people who take steroids, we'll never really know unless they come out and say openly, I am taking steroids. So that is where a gray area is introduced. Okay, the pinnacle, Phil Heath, Kai Greene, all these boys, they're on steroids. It's a fact. It is a known fact. If you don't think they are, you need to go back to primary school, all right? Figure that shit out. Because you don't even know what 2 + 2 is at that point. 4. From there, we worked backwards. Bradley Martin, Calum Von Moger, very suspiciously on the steroid radar. My spidey senses are tingling for their steroid usage. Now from there, guys, we begin to work even further down the tier, down to people like the broader fitness communities, the YouTubers, the Instagram models, all that kind of stuff, all right? You could, I don't know, you could call me a YouTuber. I don't freaking know. We start to work into that environment, a very large gray area. And this comes into play with steroids not being synonymous with muscle mass or strength, because you could easily take steroids, and I'm gonna use a case study of John Skywalker. He's not very big, right? He's quite tall, he's quite muscular, he's quite lean, but he's not very big. He's not overly muscular, he's not overly strong. He uses steroids. You wouldn't look at him and go, you know what, he's a mad steroid user. So we start to enter a very large gray zone. So Christian Guzman, who knows? Who really knows? You can never say for sure, and that is why it is dangerous to assume and dangerous to assume not. But as you'll see later on in this video, all of that doesn't really matter, and I'm gonna explain that to you in just a little bit, so hold your horses there. Before that, guys, have I actually ever thought about taking steroids? Now, that is a good question. How damn good does that look, guys? I'm really excited to dig into that, but we're gonna be patient. And before we get into that pre-workout meal, I wanna take you through whether or not I have thought about taking steroids. Now, I think anyone that has been training seriously for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 years consistently would be a liar if they were to say that they did not even entertain the idea of taking steroids. Me included, guys. If I told you that I hadn't entertained that thought, I'd be the biggest damn liar. I'd be Pinocchio. You ready? It is the absolute dream, guys. A magical substance that you can take that amplifies the thing that you're chasing tenfold, not even by like double, by like 10 times. Now, if I'm being entirely honest, guys, I've gone as far as to Google search where to get them, being so caught up in that game. In fact, about 1 to 2 years of training in, I decided to start venturing out and trying to get a hold of steroids. Now, I will be the first to say that training for only 1 to 2 years and then considering steroids is the worst idea you could ever do. If I have any recommendation for steroids, it's to train for a long period of time until you decide to jump on the gear. There's so many people that I see training for 1 to 2 years maximum, and then all of a sudden decide to start taking steroids. It's a complete sacrifice of their health for no real reward because they're not really even into it. They're just being impatient. So me personally, I don't care if people take steroids. I don't care if they don't. It doesn't bother me. They can do whatever the hell they want with their bodies. So entertaining a thought and acting upon it are two different things. Now, whether or not I went through with that thought, went through with the steroid purchase, went through with that, is a whole different story. So have I actually taken steroids? Well, that's a good question. So a big question that comes up is whether or not steroids are absolutely necessary for building an impressive physique. And the simple answer is, guys, no, they're not. So I was a huge culprit of this, guys. When I started out as a very scrawny kid, right, looking at all these people with magnificent physiques, and I'm sure you might be in the same situation. You might be looking at these people and asking, are they on steroids? Are they not? You know, they just cannot possibly be natural. It just has to be steroids. It can't be hard work, it can't be nutrition, it can't be diet, it can't be training in the gym. It has to be the steroids, the juicy, goosey, lemon scroogey, whatever the hell that means. It's just gotta be. And you know, I thought this as well. I thought, you know what, they just can't look like that. They just can't look like that without the use of something else going on. The injections going into the biceps. And I want to be the first to tell you guys that is not a very good way to look at it, because this is the reason. It is a very convenient excuse to limit your own abilities to achieve. So at the end of the day, you've got to stop looking at these people and considering whether or not they're on steroids. Okay, now, there is exceptions to the rule. Look at Kai Green, look at Phil Heath, look at Jeremy Buendia. You're not gonna get to that physique level without the use of a little friend called anabolic steroids, growth hormone and insulin, all that kind of stuff going on. But the people with the gray area, guys, so noting back to this, are they on steroids? Are they not? You don't know. The best thing that I actually did that allowed me to start making progress was deciding that they're natural, regardless of whatever it might be. You know, I can't know for sure, but just decided that they were natural. Now, what this did was allowed me to stop focusing on limitations based on, I can't get there unless I take steroids. Instead, I started focusing on my own capabilities and my own potential. And that's what I want for you guys. Stop looking at everyone else and asking whether or not they're on steroids. Just assume that they aren't, because that gives you an opportunity to get to that level. If not, if you're saying they're on steroids and you want to stay natural, you're pretty much telling yourself that you are limited. You are not able to achieve that ideal physique that you're after, which you can, dudes. You freaking can. So noting back to the ultimate question that I brought in at the start of the video, am I on steroids? Now that is a good question. Nah, I'm not gonna soprano you like that. I am not on steroids. Now, the point I'm trying to make with this video is it does not matter, okay? Because asking and considering if someone else is on steroids when you have that gray area about it is just limiting your own abilities and your own progression. So don't worry about anyone else, whether they're on steroids or not. Assume there's gonna be people like Phil Heath, Kai Green, these monsters right here, they're gonna be on steroids, okay? Assume that. But the gray area, just assume they're not. Assume you have that potential. Assume you have the ability to get there, because you never know your potential until you try. So, with that, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed this informative content on a little bit of a controversial topic. If you did, smash a like, comment down any questions you might have, and subscribe if you're new here. Or, guys, I'll find something to do, all right? Just give me a second. Or this puppy, this cute puppy here. Subscribe, or this cute puppy will die. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.